Mina la custa, cula la chitta, mina no bacchi solo, cul taquiston, mina satuta.
Oh, let it never be said that you don't commit.
Barely a few weeks into his Jedi training with Yoda, Luke Skywalker has had a vision of his friends captured by Darth Vader. A few weeks!
A few weeks? Fuck off! Right, we'll get into that.
We're going to talk about that in a minute. Against Yoda's advice, the impetuous young Jedi sets his X-Wing fighter on a course for Cloud City. Here, he hopes to find Han Solo and Princess Leia, little guessing in his haste that he himself is the true target of Vader's trap.
Ooh.
Bam, bam, bam.
I mean, there's technically nothing in the films that says it's not a few weeks.
No, I'm going to put this to you, right? So, a few weeks. That means that Han, Leia, and Chewie were kicking about on the Falcon for weeks. How much food does the Falcon hold? Like, they would need. Yeah. How much food is required to feed a Wookiee for 1 week, let alone 3 weeks?
I was going to say we don't know. I was going to say we don't know how long light speed travel still actually takes. But the thing is, it's Star Wars. I bet we can. I bet we do know that. That probably has going to be. There'll be some like anthology that's gone into surprising detail of exactly how long light speed travel takes.
We could definitely, you could easily work it out. They talk about it even in the films. It's like Geonosis is only a parsec away, and we know how fast light speed is because it travels at the speed of light. So you could easily work out like the distance.
Well, I always
between
pictured
planets
as being faster than light speed, but
I mean, did they ever say? Is it?
Well, you see light distorting, which means it's probably faster than light.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't have recognized that, but then again, I am not a scientist, so where should I be going?
I mean, I work on locusts. I think the same. Surprisingly, light speed doesn't come up very much in the statistics of the variability of locust behavior.
I read a really good science fiction novel recently called Tau. I forget the name. Tau something. Tau Sita. Anyway, it's basically about an FTL ship that the FTL drive breaks. And the ship continues to get faster and faster and faster and faster. And as the ship...
Oh, it's like that TNG episode.
Yeah, pretty much actually.
Where they end up getting stuck and going to like warp 30 or something insane.
Exactly. And as the ship gets faster, obviously, because of the way relativity works, like time passes relative to them and the speed they are traveling, time passes quicker for everything outside of the ship. Yeah. So they've been traveling for like a month at like almost light speed, and they realize that hundreds of thousands of years have passed on Earth, and that they are
Isn't that basically the... I've not actually seen it, so I don't know this, but isn't that basically the deal with Planet of the Apes? That it's like, they go somewhere and go back, but like in that time, Earth has fallen apart?
I think so. I've never actually seen Planet of the Apes. Although...
After fair, then we're both uniquely unqualified to answer that point, but yeah.
I mean, this novel...
I think it's something like that.
I'm gonna just go through and get off my bookshelf. It's called Tau something. Tau Proxima? Tau...
I assume that's not Tau as in 40k Tau.
No. It's just like the Greek numeral or the Greek word Tau.
Yeah.
But it big deals these people trying to slow down their ship. It was written by a physicist, so at least in terms of like 1980s physics when the novel was written, it's very, very accurate. Oh, I couldn't tell you. And yeah, I'd have to go get it off my shelf. I read it just a few months ago and I've forgotten already.
So I've come across a couple of science fiction authors who are a little too much on the psi and not enough of the phi.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
There's a number of otherwise really excellent science fiction novels that I have read. It's basically like reading a textbook.
Yeah. I'm just about to start. I actually haven't started it yet, but this was partly following your recommendation. I'm about to start Bram Stoker's Dracula, having never read it before. Nor seen any media of Dracula, somehow.
I mean, Bram Stoker's Dracula is one of my all-time favourite pieces of fiction, which I don't say lightly. It's a tremendous novel, in that not only is it like historically significant, and you can analyse the shit out of it, as many people have done, and there's so much going on from like a literary standpoint. It's just a genuinely really compelling read.
And it's the version I have is, as you know, I don't read physical books because I'm an idiot, so I only read audiobooks. And the audiobook of it is read by Tim Curry. So
yes!
That was a big fucking selling point, I'll be honest.
You're going to read Dracula as read to you by Pennywise the Clown.
Yeah, there's always that thing of your childhood can be determined apparently very accurately by what you know Tim Curry from.
I mean, I know him as Pennywise, but...
Yeah, for some people it's Pennywise, some people it's Muppets Treasure Island, for some people it's... what's that thing that's the plot of Avatar, basically? As in Blue People Avatar, with Robin Williams.
Hook?
Oh. No, Fern Gully. He's the
Fern
villain.
Gully. Oh yeah.
Can you give me a hand here?
How? I mean, like, first of all, like, again, I've
He's like the weird oil monster thing in that, yeah. Can you go and turn on that button? You need to turn on the gas in Gas Vader.
Despite the fact that he's clearly wearing a gas mask, but like... Yeah.
Well, it's carbonite. Makes him cold, I don't know. There we go. And yes, as well, despite the fact we know apparently Vader... Go on.
I remember as a kid being like deeply disappointed that the notion of carbonite freezing was not a thing that existed in the real world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can freeze people like that. We just can't successfully thaw them again is the issue.
Yeah, isn't that what Walt Disney had though? So, as in, like, Walt Disney actually is frozen cryogenically somewhere.
I've heard that, and I can never remember whether that's true or whether that's a conspiracy theory.
I choose to believe it's true. I have no evidence to suggest that it is, but I choose to believe it. The world is a more interesting place if that's true.
That's fair.
What are you doing? The Claw!
The Claw decides who will stay and who will go. Right, down you go.
No, put me down.
Oh, sorry. No, I tried to get out of the thing and I grabbed it. How do I drop it? Oh, I'm not even in.
Put me down.
Clown? I cannot jump the distance. You'll have to toss me.
I'm so looking forward to Lego Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, gonna be good. Oh, fucking Christ, right, we need to go back. I need to get a Stormtrooper hat. You can stay... maybe you can't stay there, I don't know. Let's find out how far the camera will stretch. It's a nice thing they added in the later Lego games is if you move too far away, the screen splits.
Yeah.
Like, it becomes... It's like... I think it's quite cool. It's like dynamic split screen. Oh, fucking Christ. I even got the fucking thing.
Do you want me to fly back over?
No, I got it. Oh, no, yes, I do need to fly back over. I was trying to do it just on audio cues, but... God, it was one of the most fascinating things I watched the other day. Basically, it was a guy who was speedrunning a Zelda game, and then when he was up against the final boss, he just said, like, just so you guys know, I've practiced this boss fight 1,000 times. I know enough of the boss's patterns based on audio cues. I can probably do this blindfolded. And everyone was like, go on then. And it was something like, Luke, turn off your targeting computer shit.
That's incredible.
That the guy puts like a blindfold on and start doing this like sweet Zelda sword fighting. It was amazing to see.
That's
really just, when you hear the sound, you press A and back twice to backflip away from it, and then you go from there. It was seriously cool.
I've never got into I don't know why. I have never got into the Zelda games. I'm sure I would enjoy them. It seems like a lot. I have big commitment at this point. There's other things I want to do, other games I want to play. But they seem. I mean, yeah, they are what they are.
For most Zelda games, there's usually a better equivalent in some way. And I'm saying this as someone who loves Zelda games, but I think so much of that is because I did grow up with them and I'm used to them, so I like them as their own thing. But like some of them, like you can get the same hit from a lot of other games, really. Like especially the most recent one, Breath of the Wild. That's like any fucking open world. Like The Witcher will hit that same itch and that kind of things. You know.
The Witcher remains, all forms of The Witcher, the game, the series, and the books remain on my to-do list for this year.
I was gonna say, I thought, yeah, I was vaguely aware that you haven't. There's always a weird thing with you, like for someone who's so into media and stuff like that. There's a lot of big shit like The Witcher and. Am I correct in saying you haven't seen or read Game of Thrones?
Oh no! Like I've read Game of Thrones like 6 times, like 6 times over. I read it once every couple of years, but I stopped watching.
Oh, you just haven't seen it?
Oh no! I watched up until about season 4, and then I realized this was a good show. I was enjoying it. However, it was the second best iteration of this franchise that I loved, and I was like, I would rather just read the books because at a certain point, I risked spoiling the eventual ending of the books for myself based on what I'd seen.
Eventual ending in inverted commas.
Yeah, and as it turns out, the ending of the show was pretty shit. And like, yes, I know.
I mean, yeah, the ending of the show was shit, and the ending of the books. Well, let's just say the author is in his 70s and lives in a country riddled by a highly infectious disease at the moment. So we'll see if there's going to be a final Game of Thrones book.
I mean, if George dies before he can finish it, naturally I will just watch the show. But I stopped watching the show because I realized that, like, if I saw something in the show that would eventually ruin the books, and I prefer the books, I would not like that. And yes, I know viewership. I know that the books are divergent from the show and vice versa, that they are now 2 separate things, but nevertheless, I was unwilling to take that risk, and still am.
That's perhaps not a bad thing, given the way the show ended.
Yes!
Quite frankly.
Yeah, and like, people gave me shit about this for years. They were like, you're being just silly and contrary, like, not watching the show. It's a good show. And then it got to the latter seasons, they were like, no, you did the correct thing. Like, we regret watching the show.
I don't regret watching it, but do you want to head on this lift? Because we need to get to Gas Vader again.
Okay.
The Nazi parable has been
I was about to
reversed.
say, there's a Nazi joke. There's a Nazi joke in here somewhere, but can we make it on the air?
Sprite, I'll leave that to your discretion whether you keep that in or not. I think I know where you'll stand on it, but you know how to cut things. Yeah. Right, now you need to do the other one. We need to selectively...
I am having such good fun. While you fight stormtroopers, I am pushing buttons.
Dude, right, I've always said, if there's a level where you're a droid and I'm not, I'm always happy to swap. And you're always like, no, I want to be the droid.
Oh, no, I know. Like, I was thinking, well, this is terrible level design. Especially, this game actively encourages cooperative play. And in this level, there's fuck all for the second player to do except push buttons.
Now imagine, like me, you played this game for the first time, not only alone, but also on the Wii, so you sat there with a fucking Wii remote swinging it in order to do lightsaber hits. As you can imagine, I was a deeply popular child.
I mean, I'm not going to comment on your popularity.
Wise, perhaps.
I would like us to remain friends.
Right. Up you go. Yeah. I think we've nearly got them in now. Also, is it weird that we're doing this before the stuff with Han on Bespin? I always thought that came first.
It does come first. We just haven't seen it, I don't think. So
presumably, it's the next level, I'm pretty sure.
Presumably, wherever he is, Han is frozen in carbonite somewhere. We just haven't got to that yet.
No, that's the next level.
Is it?
I definitely remember like Escape from Bespin and what's her name, Boba Fett being a thing. Oh, well, Christ! Oh, right, here we go.
Well, that makes no sense because like you would think this boss fight with Vader would be a much better end to the set. Like
you'd think so, wouldn't you?
Again, these games are just a mess.
Yeah, they're kind of trash. But again, it was £3.50 on Steam, and we've got a good amount of YouTube content out of it,
definitely.
so I can't hugely complain.
Also, I get the appeal is just like seeing Star Wars. They're not meant to be the best games in the world. They're just Star Wars, but Lego, and that's fine.
I feel like the production budget could have been just as well spent just making the films as they. Oh, you fucking decapitated that stormtrooper. That was awful. R2's a stone cold motherfucker when he wants to be. Hey, there you go, you little shit. Oh, fuck. Don't come over here. I'm not ready for this.
Get him, Master Luke. Kick his ass.
Well, R2 remembers when Vader was his master. Confusing.
He does actually, that's the thing though, like R2 hasn't had his memory wiped. He knows who Darth Vader is. He totally knows what's going on.
Because he can't fucking squeal like 3PO could.
It is weird that R2 never mentions the 3PO. Hey, by the way, Lord Vader is in fact our new master's father. What a coincidence!
And like Luke can speak astromech as well, so
yeah. Can he though? Because whenever he communicates directly with R2, it's in the X-wing. So presumably R2's got like a translator in there.
Got plugged into something. Yeah, okay, fair. I'll give you that. Because I was thinking about that Luke talks to him a lot on Dagobah, but that's Luke talking to him as the viewer essentially.
Yeah, we spoke about this actually.
That's just
it's a really clever narrative device.
It's a nice way of doing it. It's the narrative way of being like, well, this is Luke's internal monologue because. It's weird when films actually do internal monologues. Fucking June.
And Blade Runner. It must have been a thing for 80s science fiction films.
Still not seen Blade Runner.
Again, not going to recommend it. I would recommend it to most everyone, but not you because you said you hate cyberpunk. So.
Did you ever watch, speaking of Blade Runner and similar things, did you ever watch Alita Battle Angel?
As in the film? Or like, there's an anime as well, right?
There probably is, but no, the relatively recent film.
I did not, although I've been told that I should watch it. Someone was telling me very recently
I think you'd enjoy it. If not for another wonderful, if ludicrous performance by Christoph Waltz.
Yeah. What a guy.
And he's good in basically everything.
Can we get him in a Star Wars movie?
His character is he?
No, he's not. I'm saying, can we get him in a Star Wars movie? Like, seeing as how like they're casting sinister Germans as Imperial officers.
He could have played Werner Herzog's role in Thingy Fine.
The Mandalorian.
What's it called? There we go. Yep. That'll be coming out soon. The next season of that. I think that's like October or something. That's due out.
Looking forward to it. We haven't
talked
much about Empire, but yeah, I really like the confrontation between Vader and Luke in this. Like the sword fighting is as good as you could expect it to be. It's dark, it's ominous. Vader is terrifying. This scene is like a Freudian nightmare, and also like oh, it's hilarious!
Yeah, this would be file under as well. Actually, the showdown between Vader and Kenobi at the end of Episode 4 for being better than I remember it being. Actually,
For me, like, I mean, I love it because I love Empire and it's the best Star Wars film as far as I'm concerned, but all of it held up really well for me, in particular this confrontation.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. I'd say Empire was, I don't think it was like one of the best things ever, but it was a very, I found it to be on a rewatch, very watchable, very entertaining, and just very sharp, generally, is the best way of describing
This
it.
is a very, like, unusual question. But
Also, you got like 7,000 studs in that. I got none, so that might do something to the spreadsheet.
Since the onset of, like, since I learned the spreadsheet existed, I've been putting more effort into stealing your studs when you die. Literally, looting your corpse.
And yeah, I know at least at the last I saw, which was the end of episodes, at the end of A New Hope, I was somewhere in the region of 40,000 ahead of you, so...
Oh dear.
Keep going for it, you never know. Right, final one, and I believe it's my intro. Who the fuck voice am I going to do for that?
We are really running out of voices in our viewership. We're very sorry about it. Like,
yeah, we've only got 3 more crawls to do each after this, so... what am I going to do? Oh my! Episode 4, The Empire Strikes Back! Oh, greetings, hello there, and welcome to Chapter 6, Betrayal over Bespin.
Very well.
Oh, really, R2? Escaping from the Rebel defeat on Hoth, Han Solo has sought sanctuary on the Cloud City, high above the planet Bespin. His old friend Lando Calrissian is now Baron Administrator. What the fuck is that?
Lando?
Anyway.
Lando is a space baron. Like, what the actual fuck?
That's completely derailed me. Baron Administrator of this self-governing colony and hopes for a warm welcome. But in this time of galactic upheaval, nothing is as it seems, R2.
That was actually very good. I'm very impressed. Like, not for the first time, your voice acting surprises me with how versatile and amazing it is.
It's always been a weird backup career for me. If academic science proves fruitless, as I am often tempted by, I could happily be a voice actor. Just unfortunately, everything I've heard about it ever says this is not an industry that you particularly enter to pay the bills.
Yeah. I mean, I could do it in a heartbeat as well. We need to try and get, and plans have begun, viewership, a little teaser that you may yet see the infamous gentleman play D&D.
Yeah, definitely those plans are in motion, and they're actually more in motion than based on the last time I talked to you. So they are advancing. So that may be a thing.
One of the things I love about that scene, Vader has obviously been sitting there in that little dining room for hours, just waiting for his dramatic reveal. Because
I like to think that Vader set the table to prove a point.
Because somewhere in Vader's black armor, there is of course moody emo Anakin Skywalker, just dying to get out.
Make sure you don't choke on your aspirations, Director Krennic.
I really like that line. I love it when Vader...
It annoys me that people find that ridiculous. It's like, no, that's a fucking Anakin Skywalker line, is what that is. And like, Anakin in... what's it called? At the end of Rogue One, literally... That scene where he ignites his lightsaber to make the badass impression in the corridor scene. In order for that to have the right impression, he has to have turned off his chest lights. He has to have turned off his fucking life support system in order to make a badass entrance. And that is exactly the kind of thing Anakin would do.
100%. That might be my favourite scene in any Star Wars film. It's incredible. The way Vader fights, he's like this black glacier, getting closer and closer slowly, but unstoppably. And he's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
I mean, that's always you can see that in a lot of things. That's always a solid trope, is the thing that isn't particularly fast but is constantly coming for you and you just can't stop it.
It's brilliant. And I also love that no matter what he does, no matter what force powers he uses, no matter how many guys he kills, the rebel plans are always just 1 foot away from him, just out of his reach.
It's a testament to Rogue One's skill that it's everyone knows how that film's going to end. You know the Death Star isn't going to just be destroyed, but you know the plans are going to get away, and you know what characters are and aren't going to survive. And yet there's still tension in that scene.
Yeah.
When when the rebel troopers are literally hammering on the door, going "Help us!" You're oh fuck! It's physically tense. I slightly you get that you're in a dream and you can't get off the train tracks in time feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Again,
I hope you know what I mean. Otherwise it would sound like a lunatic.
I know exactly what you mean. But it's a very well constructed scene. Rogue One's a very good film.
Yeah. Yes, it's the best Star Wars film.
It's very good Star Wars film.
I know you think it's
in
this
episode. I think that like Empire is my favorite, but like Rogue One is a very, very good film.
I honestly don't know what I'd pick if you were forced me to pick a main series favorite Star Wars film.
I mean, you can have a think about it. Now would be an appropriate time for us to discuss that.
I mean, it would be between Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith. Those are the only two that are reasonably in contention, because they're the only two I don't have massive problems with. I mean, basically,
Revenge of the Sith has massive problems. It's just that you don't have massive problems with Revenge of the Sith. Let's be very clear here.
I guess I'm seeing it in the context of the entire prequel trilogy, of which it is definitely the high point.
Oh yeah, definitely. 100%.
It's not great, but it is the high point of a shocking trilogy.
I actually enjoy Revenge of the Sith. I enjoy, with one exception, I enjoy at least bits of all the prequels. I don't defend everything in them, but like
anyone who's just watched Attack of the Clones will enjoy Revenge of the Sith.
Oh god, yes. Oh dear god, yes.
I'm assuming as of this
Solo.
I was literally about to ask that thing. I assume of this recording you still haven't watched Solo quite yet.
No, it might be the very next movie I watch might be Solo.
Excellent.
Oh, okay, I guess.
Just in time for us to not talk about Star Wars.
Sorry,
because we're recording the rest of this tonight.
I'm sorry that I don't orchestrate all of my leisure time around this particular show, but yeah.
In fairness, if anything, this was the opposite of this show was orchestrated around leisure time, because it was our rewatching of Star Wars that prompted us to even film this series in the first.
Yeah.
Oh, I executed that man who was trying to escape. I don't feel great about that. He was running away and I shot him in the back.
Chewbacca, that's a war. Chewie, you've just committed a war crime. Subtitle.
The addendum to episode 6 where they call Chewbacca to the Hague.
Chewbacca of Kashyyyk, you stand before this court. Dear God, restrain the defendant.
Right, we somehow need to rebuild 3PO here. Because he's been taken apart by the weird Ugnaught things.
We can't just...
that made a surprising appearance in The Mandalorian.
A very excellent appearance in The Mandalorian, voiced by none other than Nick Nolte, of all people.
Who?
He's a kind of character actor. I know him from a few things.
I vaguely recognise the voice, but I wouldn't have been able to link it.
Well, I wasn't able to either. I had to completely Google who the voice was. It sounded familiar, and I was like, I'm sure I know who this is. And I did.
Like the fucking episode of The Mandalorian with the episode of The Mandalorian that had Moss from the IT crowd as like the droid in like the heist episode. That was doing my head in half the time.
You don't like the heist episode
until I finally clocked that it was him.
Because you don't like heist media. We've discussed this.
Shockingly, yeah. That was just that was a weak episode.
I liked it. I don't think The Mandalorian has any...
Of course you liked it, because you like heist shit, as discussed,
The Mandalorian, for me, it captures a lot of the kind of feel of Firefly, right? And I love Firefly. It might be my all-time favourite show, because of course it is. But
there's no denying that The Mandalorian was just
space western
RPG.
Yeah. And I like space RPG, space western-y type stuff, which is why I really, really, really like Firefly, and that was a very Firefly episode. So I unapologetically.
But it was like even when it's like when you have in the early episodes, it's like he completed a quest line and he gets an upgrade for it of like those little shooty Firefly little rockets that are used in one scene ever, and then he gets bits more armor, and then he gets a jetpack. It was literally like he leveled up, essentially.
I'm entirely okay with that. Also,
we need to go back, so we need a hat.
Have you seen Firefly? You must have, right?
Oh, yeah, I love Firefly.
I love it.
We need to go back this way. Come along, you.
Go this way? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we need a Stormtrooper hat. Anyway,
I'm getting
continue.
distracted by how much I love Firefly.
Yeah, and Firefly, I watched it back a year or so ago, and I was both surprised and pleased by how well it had aged. I was concerned it might have aged badly, but it hasn't, generally speaking. Actually, I was very impressed.
There are very few big effects in Firefly because they just didn't have the budget for big effects. So yeah.
Yeah, and yet it works nonetheless, and especially when you consider if you include Serenity in Firefly, it rounds off surprisingly well.
Serenity is a really good conclusion to that series,
and it's also cool to see a lot of it. A lot of Serenity is basically, this is what Firefly would have been if it had a budget.
Yeah, it's a good ending.
Yes, to this show. I quite agree. No, I'm sorry, apparently they were planning.
There will never be any more.
They were planning another a prequel series that delved into like Shepherd book stuff, but then they shelved it when Ron Glass died.
Oh, did Shepherd book actually die?
The actor did. Do you just not know when any actor died? Because we had this last time that I felt like a wanker for telling you that
Gene Wilder was dead.
Yeah, exactly. Also, here's something I learned recently. Gene Wilder, it was not Gene Wilder's real name.
I mean, he's an actor, right? What's his real name?
His birth name was Jerome Silverman.
Wow, that's not a terrible actor name.
No, but it's a surprisingly. You need to come back over here, by the way. We need to hook over because we need to get R2, I think. So one of us needs to swing back over. Oh no. Okay, we're not doing that. How the fuck do I do this then? No, there was a surprising thing basically for.
I'll come down just.
There we go. For actors and famous people in general, would often select stage names which are basically, there's no nice way to put it, which were far less Jewish than their actual names.
Yeah, I wonder
that's
if
what that
that's
is, yeah.
what you were going. That's where you were going with this, but yeah, I know that. Is it Gene Simmons of Kiss? Like,
probably. There's Stan Lee is a classic one. Stanley Lieberman that he was actually born as. Jack Kirby as well. Jakob Kurtzman. They all basically de-Jewished their names, though interestingly, not for the reasons you might necessarily think. At least in the case of Stanley and Jack Kirby, it was because their family basically implied that being like comic book artists would bring shame on the family name. So they were requested by their families to distance themselves from that.
I mean, as someone who, despite him also being quite a complicated man and not the best or most ethical producer of comics and content, I love and adore Stan Lee's work, and I was deeply, deeply upset when we lost him. I think there has been no individual whose body of work has influenced me more as a person than Stan Lee.
Yeah, I mean, it's always. I guess
it's a very unusual thing to admit on air, but yeah, that's a thing.
It's always hard, I suppose, to a certain extent, to kind of know the extent to which he, as a singular person, was responsible for a lot of the Marvel stuff. Like, he created characters. There are writers and stuff like that, but.
Well, he's a famous credit stealer. I mean, like, people knew exactly what they were getting in for. He would steal characters and concepts, and he would claim credit for books that he had very little input on. But nevertheless, even if he was just the person overseeing this and directing the talent, it's fair to say that he shaped the Marvel Universe more. That
I'll grant that, certainly.
Other than maybe Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
Like, he shaped the Marvel Universe more than any other single individual.
Yes.
And given that I grew up on the mythology that this man created, and I genuinely consider myself to be a better person as a consequence of having grown up in that mythology, no single person's creative output has influenced me more than
See, I'm very concerned because I can absolutely name the person who is the single greatest influence creatively on my life, and he's still alive but 94, and I'm worried we're going to lose him very soon.
Who's that?
Which would be Sir David Attenborough.
Ever the scientist.
Yeah, find an academic biologist under the age of like 60 who wouldn't cite Attenborough in some way as an inspiration. It's whenever there's any like biology conference, there's always a big discussion of like do we think Attenborough's going to survive another year? Yes, hopefully, because everyone admits he's the reason why we're basically all in biology.
I'll tell you my all-time favourite story about
to some extent or other.
So when he was a young
go on.
Okay. Oh. Whoa!
What the fuck?
Can we do that again?
How did we do that?
Oh!
Let's try that again. Oh yeah, if we both hit each other. I literally never knew that.
So, anyway, my David Attenborough.
Anyway, sorry, do continue.
But as a young investigative journalist for the BBC, they gave him a camera and a cameraman and told him to go out and make things, shoot things, go to exotic locations, create content for the BBC,
steal animals for the London Zoo.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But there's a wonderful thing where he goes to what he thinks is a sparsely populated island somewhere in Southeast Asia, and there's a tribe living on the island who have cannibalistic practices, and they're all but untouched by modern civilization. They have very little contact with the outside world. And Attenborough and his cameraman go to visit this cannibal island, basically. And there's a wonderful shot. You can actually see the archive footage of Attenborough with his back to the jungle. And like him saying, and in the jungle there exists the cannibal tribe of the blah blah blah. And as he's going on, the jungle parts and one of the cannibalistic tribe emerges from the jungle behind him, and it gets closer and closer and closer until his cameraman's like, David! And he turns around and is faced with this like huge cannibal warrior who is carrying a spear, and he turns around, looks the guy up and down, does a double take and goes, how do you do? And extends his hand.
I mean, yeah, fair play to him.
It's one of my favourite David Attenborough stories.
It's worth... Have you ever read his autobiography?
I have not, although I'd be fascinated to.
So, he's got it. It's if like me, you like audiobooks, it's on Audible and it's read by him.
Yes.
Which is obviously fantastic. And so it's called Life on Air, and it's basically... It's his own story, but it's also, because of his career, essentially a history of the BBC as well. And of, like, you know, colour television and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, like, so many of his stories are just, like, fascinating for, like... There are so many times that man should have died, let alone, like, built a reputation in international television.
Oh, like, there's another good story where, like, he tried to charter a boat to get to Komodo Islands, you know, where the dragons...
That's the one I was literally about to tell, yeah.
Where the dragons live, and, like, he woke up in the... Well, like, him and his camera went to sleep, and the pilot of the boat got drunk, and they woke up in like the middle of a brewing storm, being like, okay, so how do we get to dry land? And like then the pilot of the boat that they had hired admitted he had never been to Komodo Island and had no idea how to get there and was too drunk to pilot.
Yeah, but if a rich white man comes and pays you that much to say, take me to Komodo Island, you're gonna fucking do it. There's so many stories like that where it's like you should have died in a boat crash somewhere in the Indian Ocean.
Oh my god, did Lando just pick up a rocket launcher?
And beheaded a stormtrooper with it. Jesus. I remember that scene in the film.
This would have been a nice thing for Lando. This would have been a really good scene in the film if Lando had done
it's
any of these things.
It's bizarre that they do this level after the fight with Vader.
I think it's supposed to take place concurrently. I mean, obviously we know, having watched the film...
Yeah, but as you said, I think the fight with Vader would make a better conclusion to a chapter.
Yeah.
Or to a film game.
A bizarre order, but nevertheless, yeah, that was a more entertaining level than any of the ones we have yet done.
Yeah, Empire's been pretty weak in this game, I'll be honest.
Oh, there's Luke missing his hand.
And oh no, he's not wearing a monocle, he's got a black eye. That makes more sense. I thought he was wearing a monocle.
Because Vader keeps throwing stuff at him. Like,
yeah, exactly.
When they're fighting, like he gets all manner like beat up.
Hey, episode 4 complete.
Episode 5. You keep doing this. This is episode 5.
Yeah, I know.
Shocking. Terrible.
Right? Did they call it episode 5 at the time? Like when it came out?
No, I don't believe they did. I think that's we call it that, as in our generation calls it that, because we are used to the prequels existing. But I don't think it was.
I have a slightly weird thing that they call. It might have been episode 6, maybe it was called episode 6 when it came out because Lucas knew he was going to do prequels.
I don't know.
I'm going to need to look that up. Yeah, Sprite, look that up and chuck something on the screen, will you? Thank you! You're the best.
You're trailing a very dangerous game, giving.
Well, it's the joy of leaving notes to an editor who isn't me for once. I
still think you're playing a very dangerous game here.
And when you're tired of playing the dangerous game, relax and unwind with a cool glass of Cointreau. Because you're worth it. That's L'Oreal, I know, but still.
Cointreau.
I like how he just plugs another Lego hand in.
This droid, I remember, I had a big Star Wars philo fax with a bunch of info and supporting characters and stuff like that, and tragic backstory. He was unable to save his dying master from some horrible space disease, and so it was inherited by the Rebel Alliance. It's got a really interesting backstory, that random droid that plugs in Luke's hand.
It's one of the weirder things about Star Wars is you can guarantee that any character who gets more than 5 seconds on screen has got.
Oh my god! Luke Skywalker's hand is feeling up R2-D2. Yeah,
that's horrifying. Went straight for R2's anus. But yeah, every character that has 5 or 10 seconds of screen time has a name and a backstory and a family that are probably dead and shit like that. It's quite
one of my favourite. You know how everything has a fan wiki these days, literally everything. So
yeah,
you've seen the movie Terminator 2.
Have I? Which one's that?
You haven't seen Terminator 2? The greatest action
film
ever made?
Genuinely, is that Is that the one where Connor's a teenager?
Yeah, with the
yes, I have seen that. That's the one with with Hasta La Vista, baby.
Yeah,
with the evil where Arnie's good and the other Terminator's bad. Yeah, I actually have seen that one.
The best,
I haven't seen the first one.
Arguably the best, action film ever made, in my opinion. I really love Terminator 2. But anyway, there's a random character in that scene where Arnold is walking down the corridor to confront the liquid Terminator, the T-1000 or the TX or whatever he's called, Robert Patrick's character. And there's a random janitor who's just in the corridor and he's like, "You're not supposed to be here," as Arnold throws him aside.
Oh shit.
And that random janitor on the wiki page has a 5,000 word entry as to what he is and who he is and what his backstory is. It's because some nerd somewhere has decided to invent a backstory.
I like the venom with which you say nerd, as if you're not one of them.
Oh no! I absolutely look at how you and I are spending our Friday evening. I'm absolutely a nerd. The thing that bothers me is that I didn't think of doing that first.
Yeah. Well, that has been episode 5. Confusing. I was my head wanted to go to how many episodes of content has it been, which has been 15, but.
The doctors had rather a lot of tenants to drink at this point of viewership.
Yeah.
We do apologise for them. But
5,
nevertheless, I will co-opt this exit from this little episode. Thank you for tuning in for all of episode 5, hopefully. Tune in next time when we take on episode 6, Return of the Jedi. I have been the Bard. I've been here with...
the Doctor.
And we will see you next time, viewership. Farewell and good night.
Good night. And good luck.